Welcome to another episode of From the Logo Podcast. We got myself, Hayes, and ZZ is in the building. Gifted's on his way. He should be here sooner rather than later. Lot going on, a lot of good playoff basketball, which is always good. But then on top of that, we got injury news. We got the draft that went down yesterday. We're going to start off with the thing that happened most recently. So not only did they announce the injury, but they also announced that he already went through surgery. That is, Jason Tatum had a torn Achilles, which they were hoping that it was going to be more of a severe strain, but it looked like it was a complete tear of the Achilles. This is going to have kind of a 16-month turnaround time. Like, he's probably not going to be back the majority, all of next season. How you feeling about this? What do you think this means for the Boston Celtics? As they already had a lot of roster choices that they had to make.
This shit sucks, man. And look, I would have much rather had the Celtics been 100% healthy and got their ass kicked and beaten five, and it is what it is. But to see Tatum, who is 27, Hayes, like, chat, let's think about this right now. The biggest thing that I saw, because when I was watching it live, and when you watch the live play, it looked like his ankle got dove into. So originally that's what I thought happened. And then they showed the replay, and I was like, oh shit, it's non-contact. And when I think back to NBA players who have had this type of injury before, usually, like back in the old days, Hayes, it used to be you get this injury post 30 at least. But in recent history, we've seen, DeMarcus Cousins was 27, for example, when he tore his Achilles. Tatum is also 27. So, of course, DeMarcus came back, but he wasn't the same. And like this type of injury, Hayes, just made me look at it and be like, damn, I just wasn't expecting this to happen to him this young. An injury at this caliber. He's never had it before in his career. So it is one of those ones where you can't rush it. Like, you have to let the process heal over time naturally. And I just hope that Tatum can come back from this, man, and just wreak havoc in some way. I mean, seeing Kevin Durant when he had his injury, he came back way more efficient than ever. His true shooting percentage was through the roof. So there was an element in his game that he lost, though, with the athleticism. And I'm not trying to make light of a terrible situation, but in terms of trying to have a little bit of positivity here, Tatum's game is predicated on step back jumpers. So, he may not have to necessarily slash to the rim and clang and bang in there to get the daggone two. He might actually just come back with an even more efficient mid range or even more efficient pull up or step back side step or whatever. We'll see. But this is tough. This is really tough for Celtics fans. Chat, how many Celtics fans are out there? I feel sorry
It's
for you.
definitely tough for Celtics fans because, like, even though, the series, they were down by 7 before he got hurt. So they were already on pace to look like they were going to lose that game, right? So they're already going down 3-1, which is already tough. But then you have a championship caliber team that, because of the second tax apron, was already probably going to have to let Al Horford walk, probably trade one of Drew or KP to get below the second tax apron so you can have some flexibility to add to this team.
Mm-hmm.
And so they already tough decision to be made. But now you're going down with that. And then keep in mind, throughout all of this, Brown still is dealing with the knee injury on top of all of that.
Yes. So it is safe to say, Chad, I think that the Celtics are cooked. And in my recent appearance on the panel, I didn't have them as the contender, but I think I might have had them number 2 just based off the fact that, of course, I didn't know Tatum was going to tear his Achilles or Jaylen Brown was going to continue to deal with discomfort in his knee, but it is what it is. I do want to take this time, though, to give just a shout out to the New York Knicks, man. This is the team that at the beginning of the year, I'm not going to lie, I've had a very on and off relationship when it comes to liking the New York Knicks because I fuck with the Knicks. I just don't like their style. And when I say their style, I don't even necessarily mean anything from Brunson or Towns or Hart or McHale or OG or anybody. I'm talking about Tibbs and just running niggas into the ground. But it is what it is. The Knicks at the beginning of the season, I said, I think I had them over Philadelphia going into the season. I said, this is a team that I think can match up well with the Celtics. And despite the fact that they went winless against top teams in the East, or top teams, I guess, most winning teams in the conference or in the league, despite that, you still have the matchup situation. And that's the beautiful thing about the playoffs is that it's matchup based. Not necessarily, it does take into account regular season, of course, with the regular season series. But if you had a 3 or 4 game sample size in the regular season, you'll know what adjustments you may have to make when it comes to a 7-game series. And when you look at the New York Knicks, they have had a little bit of luck on their side with the Celtics missing all them wide open threes in the first 2 games. but you still have to take advantage and capitalize where it's due. So I do give the Knicks credit in that regard, on top of the fact that Jalen Brunson has been, for the most part, fairly consistent in the series so far. And when called upon, he has been very consistent all postseason long. So the Knicks are going to go to the Eastern Conference Finals. I don't see the Celtics coming out of this haze. I don't even think that there's an avenue for like, it doesn't matter if Derek White could go for 40. This nigga could do that, but like it doesn't matter to me. It's not even there isn't a realm of possibility for them coming back in this series.
Yeah, and I think too, like, yeah, there's not a possibility. I think the same thing with the Cavs if Donovan Mitchell's going to be injured. Now, if he's not injured, I'll give him a little bit of credit, but this thing's over with for the Celtics in this. They got bigger things to worry about. They may win the next game because, you know, sometimes, especially when your guy goes down, they may come out and want to do it for Jason, and that'll be great. But overall in the series is going to be done. The Knicks is going to probably pull this series out. As a matter of fact, since that's where we are, 3 out of the 4 series right now are 3-1. Do you give any of the teams, the Celtics, the Cavs, or the Warriors, a chance to come back from being down 3-1?
Dude, I'm hanging on by a fucking thread right now when it comes to the Warriors. And honestly, I think the series is wraps, and if it is wraps, then kudos to Ant. But the only thing that pisses me off is that when Anthony Edwards beat the Lakers, when Ant and the Timberwolves beat the Lakers in Game 5, let me get respect. When they beat them in 5 games in round 1, I said Ant has the opportunity to go on a Thanos run before the age of 28. And what I mean by that is last year he swept Kevin Durant. This year, gentlemen swept LeBron and Luka. And now has an opportunity to close out the Warriors. I just wish it would have been if the Warriors had been healthy. I wish it would have been under those circumstances so that at least we could say definitively that he's having a crowning moment, or all that Michael Jordan comparison stuff could be somewhat justifiable. But in this series, the Timberwolves, from their standpoint, they got to take care of business. If Jimmy Butler, who had 9 field goal attempts last night, if Jimmy Butler decides to show up and play for, like he wants to, I don't know, find joy, get paid, win a champion, like anything, any of these things, if he wants to do that, then maybe they can squeeze out Game 5. And if they squeeze out Game 5, then of course Steph Curry coming back in Game 6 is up in the air. But for me, Hayes, you don't rush Steph Curry back under any circumstances. If it comes down to Game 5 and we get blown the hell out, then so be it. Our season ends right there. It is what it is. Hell of a run, boys. Congratulations. Pack up Jimmy Butler and Jonathan Kuminga. Let's go get Giannis. But if not, then then they have a shot. They have a shot to win this Game 5, because the only way that happens, Hayes, and this is why I'm uneasy about it, you have to have playoff Jimmy. You have to have some form of consensus great second year, third year player in Podziemski, whatever year he is, I forget. I think second year player in Podziemski, who's going to have to step up in certain areas. 3-point shooting is going to have to go up tremendously. Scoring, output, playmaking, all these things you're going to be banking on. Draymond Green to keep his head level-headed. Buddy Hield to play some sort of Klay Thompson-esque basketball. All these things you're going to need. And then at the same time, you're going to have to hope that the Wolves are having a shaky night shooting the ball. Anthony Edwards looked very comfortable in the first half of the last 2 games. In the first half of the first 2 games, he didn't look very comfortable. But that was when everything was really on the table. So now you're in a situation where Julius Randle looked comfortable. Rudy Gobert ain't been choked out yet. Naz Reid knocking down open jumpers and shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Now you're just at a point where the Wolves look comfortable. So the basketball fan in me, take the Warrior fan out, leave all bias aside, the Timberwolves need to take care of business in Game 5. They should. There's no reason that I can't see them not, besides what I just said, all those perfect things having to happen. But I don't see that happening. I hope, but, a kid can dream.
Yeah, I mean, it's the series that are down 3-1. I mean, if the Cavs were fully healthy, they'd be the one that I'd pick. We just don't know, right?
Right.
Right. We just don't know if they're going to be fully healthy. And then even then, what does even fully healthy look like for them at this point? Like, so you don't know. The Celtics, they're that's done. The Warriors, I don't know, man. I know that's your team, and no shot, but like, hey, Julius Randle got y'all in a bind, bro. It's not even Ant, bro. Like, Julius Randle got y'all in a bind right now.
I can't even talk about it. Julius looked too comfortable, Hayes. He looked too comfortable. And that's my thing. Like, In a series like this, if both teams are fully healthy, this is what would make that series very excellent because you'll have Steph who looked very comfortable in 12 minutes cooking them niggas for 13, I think is what he had before he got hurt. But he looked comfortable, and I was like, if he's settling in, then this is going to be incredible. We were able to manage to pull that game off, but the remaining games, which what I've seen, Hayes, is without Steph Curry. Let me put it to you like this: Julius Randle's going off, right? If Julius Randle is hitting his shots, right? Let's say he's giving you 17 plus a game, effectively, and he's hitting his shots like he did in the first quarter. I think he might have had 15 or 16 in the first quarter last night, but he was hitting his shots and getting to his spots. The three-pointer wasn't even falling for him like it has been in recent years in terms of just like a few spurts that he might have had with the Knicks. It wasn't even falling like that. He's getting to the cup. He's knocking down fadeaways. He's knocking down mid-range jumpers and pull-ups. He's using shoulder to shoulder. He's doing all these things. He looks comfortable. Anthony Edwards, like I just said, had a shaky start to the two first games of this series. He had a shaky start. Now he's coming into his own. The offense for the Timberwolves is, okay, if Julius is knocking down his shots and he looks like he's settled, they're dangerous. They genuinely are, because by the time that the starters go down or Ant and Julius go to the bench and you're bringing in Dante and Nas and Nikhil Alexander-Walker, then now they're knocking down shots. They're swinging the rock, or Jaden McDaniels is open in the corner for an open three. Like, it's just that's if you are in a 7-game series, you want to be the first team to get comfortable first. But that can be that can halt you when the teams niggas blowing 2 leads. But if you are able to, like, let's say you're able to split the first 2 games, like the Warriors and T-Wolves did. Now, game 3 is really important because it can be a momentum shifter or a tone setter, however you want to call it. The Rockets were in a similar boat. The difference is the Rockets are young and dumb. They're not old and experienced yet. They got veterans, but it's Fred VanVleet and Dylan Brooks and Steven Adams. It's not like you'll take a veteran like a Draymond and a Jimmy in a situation like in a series like that, because you know for a fact that they know the circumstances and the stakes at hand. And Steph Curry, of course, they know the stakes at hand. The Grizzlies, the young Grizzlies team from 2022 and up, this is another team that had that same issue, bro, where it was like they got too confident too early. Yeah, you were the second seed in the Western Conference, but you ain't the first second seed that the Warriors didn't eliminate from the postseason. And that's exactly what happened. The same thing happened with the Grizzlies and the Lakers in 2023, where it was like, okay, you could say you got the talent, you could say you got the youth, but I was even telling y'all they got LeBron and AD, bro. Like, what are we talking about right now? LeBron and AD and just them rallying the troops is enough to take away that little squad over there. The Timberwolves are young, but they're experienced, Hayes. They're young and they're experienced, and that's where they differentiate from a team like the Rockets. They already been battle tested. At least Ant and Rudy and Jaden and Nas have. And Julius has been battle tested last year with the Knicks, and he was hurt. So for me, like because they already have that under their belt, and Ant is mature for his age, but probably telling guys, hey, look, don't take this shit lightly just because they ain't got Steph. They still got Jimmy. We got to pay attention to him. Don't let Draymond get going or feel like he in anybody's head. And now we up 3-1. So shit. That's why I'm nervous. That's literally why I'm nervous.
But like you said, they don't need to try to rush Steph back. When they brought in Jimmy, when they gave him the contract extension, they lined him, Dre's, and Steph's contracts. They got 2 more full seasons after this to try to get something done.
Facts.
That's the timeline they gave themselves. So,
facts.
We'll
and honestly, if you look at it, man, unforeseen circumstances is what caused their playoff run to potentially come to a stop. But if you're Mike Dunleavy, and I ain't gonna lie to you, if you Mike Dunleavy, I'm looking at you like, all right, look, we see that Kuminga is up in the air still. There's still some holes that could be fulfilled. We still might need a big man. Like, you're gonna be looking at. If I'm Mike Dunleavy, I'm looking at the Rockets and I'm looking at the Mavericks and this. Like, I'm looking at everybody for next year, and I'm saying, hold on now. We saw what we could do with what we got, and when Jimmy came to the squad, but if we can add some pieces to make sure that we stay in ahead of the curve so that we don't start drowning and we can stay afloat at least, and maybe we'll have a backup option just in case Steph Curry goes down or just in case Jimmy goes down, whatever the case may be. But if I'm Mike Dunleavy, I'm paying close attention to the market, and if we do get bounced out, we ain't just gonna run it back with the same crew. Make a little tweak.
Yeah, it got to be a little tweak, y'all. Y'all may need to go ahead and get one of those centers that
Thank
everybody's
you.
looking at. So,
Thank you. Those
especially
would
because
be
now
keys.
the Dallas Mavericks may have one of those boys on the market in Daniel Gafford, because who knows what's going to happen with that rotation now.
I
We
love
got
Daniel.
Gifted in the building. What's going on, Gifted?
Gifted.
You with
Detroit
your black
traffic
polo on?
sucks. Detroit traffic sucks, bro. Damn.
You got to invest
Damn.
in
The
you a
amount of
jetpack, my boy.
I really need to, bro. Detroit traffic is awful. But we in the building, man. A lot has happened since last week. I'm not gonna hold you. A lot has happened. Like a lot.
I mean, a lot's happening a lot. We were biding time to talk about the draft. We were talking about
Yeah.
the Jason Tatum injury, and since
Tough, man.
it's been officially announced he had surgery. It was a torn Achilles, and we spun that off to start talking about the teams that are down 3-1. So I had asked ZZ this question: any of the teams that are currently down 3-1 right now in the playoffs, do you give any of those teams a chance to come back and win the series?
It's done. The only team that can be close is Golden State, and I only say that because of how underwhelming the Wolves have been, and the fact that there's a slight chance that they can win Game 5. You get your main guy back in Game 6, which they haven't had time to really adjust the game plan for. And if he's actually healthy and right, maybe, but that just sounds like a pipe dream to me. I just think this team has not really had great execution. What frustrates me to no end, bro, I'm watching the game last night, Hayes, and it's like I'm going super, like, I'm taking notes of shit, right? So when they Gobert leaves the floor in like the first quarter, right? They bring in Naz Reid, and Kerr's adjustment is, I'm going to put Looney in the game now. Not with Gobert, with the Nas. So basically, when they go small with Ant, Randall, and Nas, he puts Looney out there who can't guard in space because he can't move his hips. He's oldish. Sorry, he's not old, but he has older hips, obviously. Yeah. And he can't really like move with them. And we're just bleeding value a ton of threes. I say, okay, Kerr clearly sees this. So it's not, he won't do this again, right? Second half, we're up 2 points, ZZ. We're up 2 points in the game. Does the same shit. Minnesota goes on a 17-0 run. And by the way, I got to say this, Hayes, I know you've seen a lot of bad lineups in your lifetime. The fact that I had to see B-Pods, GP2, Draymond, Butler, like the only hypothetical shooter on the floor was B-Pods, and he don't even shoot for real. It was bad, bro. Like, our offense is just cooked. They don't have enough. But my thing is, it still felt salvageable if you just played the people that could shoot. But instead, you go down that much, and then, like, it's game time, which I'm really sick about. I feel like game 3 and 4 were actually mad winnable games, but they lost. You know, so I mean, hey.
And honestly, Gifted, the way you just pointed out Steve Kerr's adjustment last night, which I noticed the first quarter adjustment when he brought Looney in, and I had the question mark of actually when the Pods lineup that you were mentioning was out there. I remember having the question mark of where's the offense going with this? We have Jimmy, but he doesn't look aggressive tonight. He's looking passive.
Yes.
So if he's looking passive, who is he going to throw the ball to? Now, here's the thing, Gifted, that I thought you were going to get into.
Oh, it's easy. We can't hear you anymore.
Yeah, I don't know what happened. I thought that was me for a second.
Yeah, same here. Yeah.
All right, my shit cut out. All right. Buddy Hield. That's what I was going to get to.
Yeah.
Buddy Hield, I think his first 3 shots, if you look back, you got the first one was like okay look. It was like he's coming off the screen and he's trying to get going. All right, whatever. The second one I think he made, and the third one, it was very contested off the screen, very forced and very rushed. And that just summed up how Buddy Hield tries to get into a flow of game. If he gets 3 shots, they will more than likely be threes. He isn't the type of player where it's like he takes 2 and then his third shot, he's going to try to get a mid-range off or get a floater, try to just see it go in. He's going to shoot his threes because he wants them to go in. He's a shooter, whatever. If that doesn't work, the only way that Buddy Hield will have a good game after missing perhaps either the 3 first shots that he takes or 2 of the 3 first shots that he takes, the only way that he'll be able to still have a good game is what he does on the defensive end the next possession, the very next possession. That's the type of player that he is, right? So looking at last night, I remember saying, okay, even if Buddy Hield has to shoot 11, 12 threes or whatever, we can live and die with that because he is our best shooter and he is our like mom, we want Steph Curry. We got Steph Curry at home. Like that's what he is. So we have to live with it. We have to die with it. If Jimmy Butler isn't aggressive and
it falls apart.
Like I told Hayes, he had 9 field goal attempts last night. What's the point of running anything? You're hoping that Jonathan Kuminga can get you at least 15 to 16 points. And that's if he's having a good night and or if Steve Kerr is feeling froggy enough to let that nigga have an opportunity. But that's neither here nor there. Jimmy Butler is the biggest deciding factor of if we win game 5 or not. Because to me, and this is for me, this is not the Warriors fan in me. This is the 10-year Jimmy Butler fan in me. Because I was very confused as to what the hell I saw last night. If something's bothering him, if he's banged up, whatever, screw it. We lose in 5. It is what it is. Like Hayes said, we still got a 2-year window with this. So if you can tweak the roster in the offseason, like I said before you came on,
gotta get some goddamn shooters on the roster, bro.
Right. Do whatever you got to do. Do whatever you got to do because we this was unforeseen. Steph get his first hamstring injury of his career. Like all this was unforeseen.
After having 13 points in like this was going to be such a banger series,
right? With
the Steph and stuff, and we didn't get to see that.
Like I said at the start of the show, if the Warriors were fully healthy and we lost in 5, I'd much rather prefer that because then it becomes Ant's really the legend killer. Fine, whatever.
I'm cool.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
We lost fair and square. But the thought of, damn, like you said, Gifted, in 13 minutes, he looked like he figured out everything with the defense. Figured out where to
free
his spots. Free. Look, literally free. So for me, like, it's tough to look at it from that perspective. And like you said, game 5 is game 3, game 4, and game 5 are all in the same category of winnable. But the only difference is game 5 has much more expectations on it because it's an elimination game now.
Do or die game. Yep.
You have nothing to like. In my opinion, you go balls to the wall, and this Jimmy Butler has to give me 20 plus field goal attempts. Something.
So like the other thing that I'll say too, to me, how I feel like the game was gonna go, I thought Jimmy was gonna basically coast in the first half because he rested towards the end of the second quarter because we actually went on a huge run without Jimmy Butler, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in my brain, I'm thinking, okay, well, if that's the case, he has to pick it up in the third quarter. But again, when you have Jimmy in lineups where you don't have shooters and it's nothing but defensive players, and you have Rudy Gobert in the paint, and his main thing is to get to the paint, like independent of him needing to take more shots, I agree with that.
Yep.
He's not even in the best lineup to maximize what he does best. Mm-hmm. So to me, it's like it just didn't feel like a great setup or preparation from Golden State in those aspects. Because again, this game was still mad winnable.
Yes.
Even after we were down 20, they put in the bench and they somehow cut it to 13. The game ended single digits.
Yeah.
Like I still firmly believe, and again, like I'm not the one to make things like, oh my God, if we had Steph, it'd be 5 games, right? But if you're watching the way the Wolves play, I think I can comfortably say if the Wolves played this way with Steph on the floor, we're beating them.
Bro, it's not even a question mark.
It does feel like that to me.
And I say that with the utmost confidence in the fact of, yes, Ant can still be Ant in certain moments and certain spurts. But Steph Curry in the fourth quarter of these close games that we didn't lost, where you have a fourth quarter where Jimmy goes scoreless for 8 minutes. You think Steph ain't gonna get you a couple threes in that stretch to make sure that nigga wakes the hell up in time?
I mean, but Zizi, it's that, but it's like every 3-pointer, and I mean this when I say this. I'm not walking this back either. I mean this when I say this. Every 3-pointer the Timberwolves hit feels like 5 points because we cannot fucking shoot. We can't make a 3. So all of our baskets are get it out the mud, real like blockbuster 2B hoops where it's like we got to get the layup. Hopefully that falls because we're not making a 3. Whenever I see Mike Conley, Anthony Edwards, Dante DiVincenzo, Julius, like they have multiple guys that can make a wide open 3. Yeah. We don't. So when we don't have those shots falling, now it's like, well, damn, we can't turn the ball over.
Yep.
We're getting out rebounded. We're leaving shooters wide open, and we can't shoot 3s. So it just limits how much of a back and forth you can have. You're more so hoping that they miss all their shots and you make yours, and that's just not sustainable for like a full 4-quarter game. It's just not.
Now, It's easy. You talked about Steph in the fourth quarter. If I told you that Steph Curry in the playoffs is averaging 6 points and 36% shooting in the fourth quarter in this playoff run, though, would that change how you feel at all? Because that's what he's averaging this
0
year in the
points
playoffs.
in 8 minutes, Hayes. So sound like to me 6 is more than 0. So
Oh no,
I mean, it's true. It's true. Hey,
you know what I'm saying? Like
I'm gonna tell you my shit on this too.
Go ahead.
I love what you're saying, right? Like he has those points. Hayes, it's gonna sound crazy. I swear to God, if he's literally just on the floor,
yes,
the process is cleaner. Like all
no,
I care
I mean
about
the
is
whole
the
way
process.
you have to guard the Warriors with Steph on the floor completely changes. Like that, of course, that it completely changes how you have to guard them on the floor, especially if you got Buddy Hield on the floor too. Like you just have to guard them. It opens up a lot more for Jimmy and for Dre. So for sure, I get that absolutely. I just wish we weren't talking about what ifs. I wish we would have actually gotten to talk about the series.
That's what I'm saying. Yes, 100% on that. 100% on that.
But with that said, I guess we should move on to the title topic because the NBA is never beating the allegations that the draft lottery is rigged.
Man,
now,
brother.
I want to lay this out here for those that don't know. So the draft lottery isn't as simple as you go in, you pull out a team's ping pong ball, that team wins that pick. I don't know if you guys know, it's a way more complicated process. So there's a number. So let's say arbitrarily for the number 1 pick, you have to hit 25. So they keep drawing until a team hits that number 25. They then reset it, and then they redo it for number 2 and number 3. So it's not supposed to be riggable, but you're never beating the allegations when the Dallas Mavericks get the number 1 overall pick after Nico Harrison trades Luka Doncic for Anthony Davis and some fucking shock tarts. No offense to what Max Christie, no offense there. But that's what happened, and you get rewarded with the number 1 overall pick. And the reason why the title of this is Nico was right is because he talked about defense. One of the Cooper Flag's best attribute is his versatility.
Defense. Yes.
Yeah.
You're adding that to Anthony Davis, which is going to be fun to watch. Don't know what they're going to be this first season. How do you guys feel about the way the draft lottery played out?
I mean, first things first, get well soon, Hayes. I say this because the Dallas Mavericks and the Bulls, I think it came down to like a coin flip, right?
Yeah,
who it was mad close. Yeah. And it's like literally that coin flip decision. Like if the Bulls win that, they get the first pick.
Not really, because again, it's not just as simple as that. You still have to hit that number.
Well, also too, didn't Josh Giddey's half-court shot affect the Bulls' chance?
It did.
I mean, people on social media have been saying that's the shot that did it because they say if we would have lost one more game, we would have had the higher odds. It wouldn't even come down to a coin toss. That's what people.
But even with the odds, like this is my thing. All right, let me just explain to y'all how my night went before this bullshit happened. So I'm chilling at my boys. Chilling at my boys. The whole gang over there. We all there chilling. Watching the draft lottery and all that. Did I just fizzle out? Am I still here?
You good?
We hear you.
You're frozen, but we can hear you.
All right, all right, good. Because this is storming over here. Anyway, so I was over there. You know what I'm saying? We chilling. We go up to the balcony. You know what I'm saying? Hitting the bowl or whatever. And literally, I can paint this picture for y'all. We just chilling. You know what I'm saying? Passing the bowl around. You know what I'm saying? Hey, let's have a friendly bet. Who y'all think will get the number 1 pick? Nick, bro. It's like 4 or 5 of us just chilling right now. I think it'll be the Rockets, or I think it'll be the Jazz. I
had the Spurs, bro.
Give me Wizards.
Okay.
Somebody said Spurs. Somebody said who was the other team? God damn it, I can't think of it.
I really had the Spurs bad. Hey, I was almost.
I did too. I thought it was going to be the Spurs. I'm not even.
And they was close as hell too. They was right there. So I mean.
I remember the conversation about the Spurs being if the Spurs get Wemby and Coop, man, that would have
been so crazy, bro.
And so now we start having these like mini conversations, these little sub combos, and then somebody says the guy, the owner of the place was like, he said the Mavericks. My exact response was the team with the 1.8% chance, and everybody started laughing. We get downstairs 10 minutes later, and we had missed the first, I think like the first 6 or the first bottom 6. We got to the top 5. and they start counting down, and we're watching, and we see this, and we get to the Wizards, and they got what, the 5th pick, I think.
Wizards got that was tough for the
They
Wizards,
got
boy.
whatever pick they got hold. Okay, so we
Yeah,
got to that,
hold.
and then the Spurs get the 2nd pick. The whole room erupts. And everybody, and I remember they put like 50 cents on it, and coach was like, "Hey, give me my 50 cents." Like I was like, "Hold on now, wait a second." The Mavericks jumped how many spots? Like 9, 8, 10.
They went from 11 to 1, so 10 spots.
10 spots.
There you go. Yeah.
What is happening right now? So I remember everyone's consensus reaction was, "This shit rigged. They can't. There's no way. There's no way that we sat here as a unit discussing the Mavericks' failed future. We sat here as a unit discussing why the trade was so dumb, because you lost your future for a championship window that was 3 years long at best, depending on who or who didn't get hurt. And now, despite all of that, despite all those conversations, despite all the Nico Harrison's extra security that he hired, all of that, the Mavericks will have the number 1 pick. And now we're about to drop Cooper Flag.
I don't know where I was in terms of like who was going to get the first pick or whatnot. The main thing I cared about this draft, ironically, is Philadelphia going to get this pick or not? Because if they didn't fall within the top 6, OKC would have got their pick. And to me, that would have shook some shit up around the league if they did not get that pick. So shout out to Philadelphia. They got their pick. I'll say this, man. Like, the only thing that was off to me is when right before they revealed, I think the top 4, they had the Knicks Patrick Ewing thing like right before that, and a lot of people say that draft was rigged, and I'm like, what's the purpose of showing that? I don't know. And then
I saw that too.
Yeah, I just felt
predictive programming. That's what that was.
right. So like, I don't know how I feel. Like, I genuinely believe that it do be some random shit. My only thing is, like, I feel like if the Spurs got it, we're still saying it's rigged. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like there's other teams that could have got the pick and we'll still say it's rigged, even though it might not have been rigged. You get what I'm saying? But I get optically how this looks crazy, how you trade Luka Doncic, and that same year you not only get the number 1 pick in the draft, but you get the other white boy to replace your last white boy. Like,
this one's
interesting.
In shape, though. This one's in shape.
This one's in shape but likes to run.
Trade the pick. They've already announced they are not trading the number 1 overall pick, and they're drafting Cooper Flag. They eliminated all that. I don't know if y'all saw that today. Yeah. They literally came out, was like, "Don't call us. We're not trading. We drafting Cooper."
Okay, but Hayes, here's my counter though. I cannot trust anything I hear from a team that has Nico on it, because right before Luka got traded, he was saying, "Oh, no, we love Luka. He's our guy, man. He's our guy. We love Luka."
Yeah, but at the same time, nobody expected that. Like that was completely out of left, right? And it seems like even when Nico talks about it, it seems like almost he brought it up like, "Hey, yeah, what if we traded Luka Doncic to you for Anthony Davis?" Oh, you do that?
You would do that? Oh, okay.
That was shocked by it.
True. Yeah, man. I feel like Dallas, like, bro, I think Cooper Flag is a great fit. In my opinion, Cooper is more of a 4. I think he can make the 3 work on this type of team, but I think as a 4, he makes more sense. I also want to make sure that he gets featured a ton. I feel like having Kyrie Irving with AD and him, like, his touches aren't going to be
next year.
Yeah,
which helps, right? Like that does give him a more advanced role early on, which I want for Cooper. I just want the team to like actually let him be what he can be. Like, let's see what his fully maximized actual ceiling is. I want to see that. So it's interesting though.
They better not be on no whole shit like they was when Wemby his first year, because
brother.
Imagine you're Cooper Flag and you're thinking, damn, I gotta wait like 6 months to play with Kyrie. I gotta be catching passes from Spencer Dinwiddie. Like, damn.
Yeah, I wish it.
So, but like you said, Gifted, it could be a blessing in disguise in a way of like enhancing or speeding up the process of his development as a player, because he already has the raw aspect of just being a raw scorer in the sense of like, you can tell he has his own moves, you can tell he has his own bag, you know how he gets to his own spots, like he's just a conscious scorer in that regard. But at the same time, like Hayes said, the difference between him and Luka Doncic is not only age, but the fact that he actually likes playing defense
and is in good shape. Yeah.
It's a cool concept to him. like that's so crazy how American hoops and European hoops are just that different. But in the sense of just like two basketball prodigies. Like Luka was a prodigy at 16, and he wasn't playing on defense then, but he had the body type for it because he was slim and built and just active and mobile. So Cooper fits just perfectly with the team. We'll see how it plays out. But yeah, Nico get to keep his job.
I still think I think the fact that we have to come back and say, "Oh my gosh, Nico, right?" I want to be clear. No, nigga, Nico was wrong. Nico is still wrong because the biggest issue with the trade, beyond trading Luka, which is crazy in itself, is the fact that you did not imagine how imagine how crazy this is if we're thinking about all the other unprotected they got, and then they got Cooper Flag too.
That's the thing. They could have 2 picks in this draft. They could have. They could have. No, then they could have a lot. Like it just. That's always going to be the thing as far as Nico not deciding to start a bidding war for Luka Doncic, because that's always the path that you should. Even if you did want to move off of Luka, you could have started a bidding war. But shout out to Dallas. They get Page and they get Cooper Flag in the same.
That's crazy. That's crazy. So yeah, man.
Yeah. So,
okay.
But overall, like this draft, the way that the whole draft board shaped out, you got the 76ers getting number 3, right? No.
Yeah. Three.
The 76ers getting number 3.
Mm-hmm.
The Spurs got number
Hornets
2.
Got 4.
Hornets and the Jazz got hold, man. Like, let's just be clear. Like this goes to show this is the second year in a row a team that was in the play-in tournament ends up with the number 1 overall pick, while the team that decided at the beginning of the season that they were going to tank falls all the way out, bro.
I was so happy the Jazz got hold. I'm sorry, because as someone that actually took the time to watch their games, no one did. I don't blame you for it. They had so many nights, Hayes, where they just had 8 or 9 people out. Illness, right hip contusion, out. And it was such blatant tanking of the highest levels, bro. I'm like, this team don't deserve to get no number 1 pick. Like, y'all not even trying to compete.
I will say this too. Like, I saw Green this morning on Get Up, and he kind of had like a viral little clip of him saying like, this good for the teams that tried to tank, because you shouldn't have been doing it in the first place. The ideology of tanking is stupid, and it always has been. And Greeny is looking at it from an unbiased, just sports fan perspective. Like,
yeah,
if you're playing any sport whatsoever, even if it's professional, never should you wake up and go to the damn arena and just have the feeling of you and 14 other guys sitting there saying, "Hey guys, y'all ready to lose tonight?" Yeah. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like that has never really been an attractive idea. If you're looking at it from the stand, especially considering the fact that it hasn't proven to work the majority of the time. I look at the Detroit Pistons, a team that posted 2 of the worst records of all time in a 3-year time span, not walking away with the number 1 pick, right? I look at a team like anomalies, like the San Antonio Spurs in their regard, but also look at teams that have been consistently trash, like the Washington Wizards and the Utah.
Bro, the Knicks were mellow back then. Like they could not get high picks, bro.
Like it didn't. The only time that it proved to work, and it was stupid then, and that's why they didn't get to the conference finals in any of those years, was for the Philadelphia 76ers in the whole trust the process era. They told the fans, "Hey, we're gonna be ass, but it's all gonna pay off when we get these number 1 picks."
Hey, they came up with that, yeah.
Yeah, and they delivered on their promise. The number 1 picks was ass and busts, but they delivered on their promise. So it is what it is.
I gotta disagree with this, Henny, only in the sense that I don't think they tanked. David Robinson got hurt.
Right.
That's what
they didn't play well because
San Antonio didn't tank. David Robinson got hurt. Now, I 100% agree with you. That's LeBron James it worked on.
Cavs are doing that shit. Yeah.
100%.
And there's another situation in which it worked too, but that's really it. And LeBron had to leave and come back for them to actually win the title with LeBron.
Even with that one, when they got Kyrie in the 2011 draft, they had like a 3% chance, if that, to get Kyrie. And it lucked out there. But there's been there's moments, of course, but go ahead, Gifted.
I just feel like with the Mavericks, what I like is like they traded Luka and they were still trying to compete. AD got hurt. Game 1, he got traded. They're still trying to compete. Like they had multiple people on their roster go down. And guess what? They still made the play-in over the fucking Phoenix Suns. I will forever stand on that as some of the crazy shit I've seen, where a team that literally had an article come out, Hayes, saying they might have to sacrifice games and give it up, right? They might have to like auto forfeit because they had so many injuries, still made it to the play-in because they were trying to compete. So like I like the essence of that. I still think the draft is a random crapshoot. You just want to be near the bottom in terms of odds, and after that point, it is what it is. But it's not guaranteed. There are no hard guarantees in the draft year by year. It's just not.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, like I think especially with the even lottery odds, right? They flattened the lottery odds. They made the top 4 picks all lottery picks. Then on top of that, like the play-in, like it just everything now just comes down to like you don't know how it's going to be. Like teams that tank to try to bottom out, like I can understand it depending on where your franchise is, like, but at the same time, like what are you building to that point? Like the Utah Jazz have now been taking 2 years in a row, and they're going to do it again next year. They're going to try again next year. It's not going nowhere. But
That's
at that point in time, you finally get that young player here. If you do luck up and get the number 1 overall pick, you've completely killed any momentum and spirit in the players that you have on your roster.
And all that creates is just a bunch of losers. Like I was like, anybody that gets traded to Utah is just a banishment in disguise. You're just over there with a bunch of people that have some talent. You're just walking around with a bunch of tradable assets at that point, to be honest. You're walking around with a bunch of assets, not teammates, assets. Every single one of them is expendable. No one on the team is untouchable. No one on the team is safe. Everybody will eventually, it's like prison. Everybody will have a day where they can just go back to, hey, you can play some ball, make some good money. Yeah, you can go have some fun. But if you come over here to play basketball, not good basketball, just to say you're playing basketball, that's a problem. If I was a Utah Jazz fan, for example, they haven't won a championship, if I'm not mistaken, in their entire career or entire franchise existence. But if you're a Utah fan, you had the years of 98 and 97 of seeing them go to the finals. You had years like 2020 where they were the number 1 seed. You had years where they were like a top 4 seed in the conference. And every single year you knew that they weren't going to make it to the conference finals. You just hoped. You hope that Rudy Gobert winning all those depoys would really mean something. But but then when they're gone though, when Donovan's gone and Mike Conley's gone and Rudy's gone, like they had no choice but to tank. And Danny Ainge going over there, everybody thought that was going to be some sort of like life save. No, bro. But the thing that I hope people understand is that it'd be one thing, Hayes, I understand if your team is in that position, but realistically speaking, there should be like 4 teams in that position every year, realistically speaking. Depending on who falls down. Like the Philadelphia 76ers were in that mix, but that was just mainly because of injuries, right? The Washington Wizards are a team that is directionless, right? Like genuinely directionless. But
I disagree though. Listen. I am a big fan of Tubi Hoops. What is Tubi Hoops? Watching trash teams no one else watches for the small developments. What Alex Sarr was doing at the end of his rookie season, like he did. I like where that was going. I feel like if they get Cooper Flag with Alex Sarr, that defensive front court is nice.
True.
I like that. They got to hold though. They got to hold though.
Direction gifted, right? Not right. To your point. Alex Sarr was hooping I do want to give him flowers for that. He was hooping at the second half of the season. Like I said, that's why I have the Wizards as my number 1 pick, because in my opinion, you're directionless for now. You got a high draft pick last year. You're building around that. And then this year you had an opportunity and they got hoed, but it is what it is. But if they had Cooper Flag, at least you have a sense of direction to go for what you're trying to build around in the future. Instead of building around a point guard and Alex Sarr, you're building around a great front court potentially, great defensive front court potentially, with Alex Sarr coming on strong with his offense later on in the season. That was great. You have Cooper that they could just piggyback ideas of how to make each other better defenders and two-way players. But you have a direction there. Now they're stuck with Alex Sarr and Jordan Poole and
Bub Carrington.
Yeah, like they just
Keyshawn George and whatnot. Yeah,
they stuck. They just stuck, and it sucks because the nation's capital, a team like Washington, that Washington fans, the last time they had free agency, Hope Hayes, was in 2016 because they thought Kevin Durant might come back.
That's a long time ago, bro.
That's 9 years. Or you know what? Let me scratch that. I guess you can kind of count when Russ came there, but like other than that, like
a little bit.
You can count it a little bit. But the last time they genuinely were like, oh, we really got a shot to land a star because he actually is from here. We don't need equity being that we're a small team. He's actually from here. That's our equity. And that nigga said, I'm not even gonna take a meeting. It's a problem. If you're a Washington fan, you just feel hopeless. I genuinely think that. Utah the same way. Detroit's coming on strong. Like you said, with the development of Detroit from last year to this year and the year before that to this year, you see the small things. And honestly, the only thing Detroit needs to build on next year is Cade Cunningham becoming an even more consistent closer, or at least having another closer on that team other than Cade. That's pretty much the last step that they really need to be a serious contender in the Eastern Conference, not just a contender. But
I do want to say this about Utah. Utah's funny to me because them getting this 5 pick, all that can for me is they're going to be tanking even worse next year. You want to know why? Because AJ DeBonsta is actually playing college basketball in Utah right now. And he is touted to be a very high draft pick for next year. So obviously the connection is there. I think the owner actually talked about wanting to have him on the team. I could be wrong about that, but yeah, I think it's up. I think Utah is going to have an even more shameless display of tanking next year to get him. I do believe that. And they might get the first pick. I don't know. We'll see.
No, I'm saying if they do, they would then Utah Jazz, ladies and gentlemen, you heard it here first from the logo. The Utah Jazz will have the #1 pick next year if everything goes according to plan.
No, you know who's going to have the #1 pick next year? Mark my words and listen to what I'm saying because they're saying all the right
things.
Listening. It's the Portland Trailblazers. Watch what I tell you. Portland's already their GM has already said we're going to try to fight for the play. We're going to try to make the playoffs. That's our goal. We're going to keep trying to add talent. Watch. They're gonna barely miss out on it because what did they finish like?
They were close.
Below the play-in?
They were close. Yeah,
they're gonna miss out again because they're not gonna be good enough. And watch them win the lottery next year. And AJ being on that team is gonna be crazy.
You see? Oh no. Well, I think AJ nice as hell.
AJ nice, bro.
AJ, listen, AJ moves me. I've seen his tape. He's nice. For real.
Watching that kid's tape and to think that he's doing all that at what he just turned 18, I think.
He just turned 18. Yeah.
It's crazy, bro.
Them young bloods, bro. Them young bloods.
Bruh. He was doing this shit at 16. Hayes.
I know that. Yeah, he's been doing this for a while now. It's ridiculous, man.
Yeah, man. So I'm not gonna lie though. Portland would be so because like if Scoot can be better than what he's been, I'm not giving up on Scoot. I think this year. This upcoming year for me is the make or break with Scoot Henderson. I feel like, but they have many other guys that also can have higher upsides. Yeah, that's gonna be interesting for sure.
Hey, you want to know what else is interesting? And I'm just gonna say that because I know it's gonna happen, and I'm just gonna beat everybody to the curb. If you were calling Jason Tatum corny, all right, and I'm saying this on behalf of Chilltown because somebody got to do it. If you were calling Jason Tatum corny. You know what I'm saying? All this shit. And I will say the most out-of-pocket thing I ever heard as just slander on Tatum. And it was kind of the funniest too in the sad way. Right after the Celtics won the championship, I will never forget. I said, let me go to the comment section. I think it was like House of Highlights or Bleacher Report. And the first comment I saw after the Celtics won the championship and Tatum, it was the we did it and all that. The first comment said, I hope Deuce gets bullied in school next year. I said, damn.
They did say that. They did say that. Yeah.
Damn. That's how y'all. That's how much y'all.
I'm not gonna lie though. That's not even the worst shit, bro. Last night after Tatum tore his shit, I saw someone say this dude is still trying to be like Kobe, and I'm like, bro, like that's it's out of pocket.
Like,
it's out of pocket. It's out of pocket. It's out of pocket. It's not even funny, bro. Like what?
The crazy thing is that like. The people so much do the Kobe stuff, but like we don't give the same crap to Devin Booker for saying I'm doing it for Kobe and going out there and suck and shoot like shit.
They don't.
Like we just forgot about that. Is that what we just did?
Yeah, and now it's after the Team Olympics run. Oh, D Book cold. Oh, he damn.
But the only reason why I think this happens, and really this is the problem with the whole Tatum conversation. Always. People are projecting because they're upset that Tatum came in on a good team and has always made the playoffs on a good team and has been afforded games where he can play bad and still be up 20 and win. And they feel like that means he's a bad player and he's not as good as they say he is, which there's some truth to some of that, but all of it, no. And they're getting mad about that. So they take their anger out on Tatum when really Tatum's still a very good basketball player.
Absolutely.
Yeah. He led his team in points per game, rebounds per game, assists per game, steals per game, threes per game this whole postseason.
Yeah.
Despite all the bullshit.
Despite playing like absolute dog shit.
He did last year.
Because listen, I'm the type that I'm gonna keep it a whole band with you.
Mm-hmm.
He did not play well in the Knicks series at all.
Mm-hmm.
The last game, great game.
He was
phenomenal game. I think that was easily one of his best performances of his career. Right. But game 1 and game 2, like, I'm sorry, brother.
He was like 28%.
15 threes, you only made 2. Like, it's not good. Like, he wasn't playing good. But independent of that, I still know he's a good basketball player. People don't know how to say 2 things in one breath.
Yeah.
That's true.
Let
me ask y'all this. I know this still relates back to the draft. Is there any chance that the Mavs turn around and trade Anthony Davis?
There's always.
I thought about this, man. For what though? Like, what are they trade? You know what I'm saying? Like, listen. No disrespect, right?
Mm-hmm.
No one in their right minds would trade Luka for Anthony Davis with 1 pick. They did that, right? So my thing is now, if you're trading Anthony Davis again, after he just got hurt again, and he has those years left on his contract, what value is gonna like get that done for you? Are the Bucks? I don't think the Bucks want him either.
You know what I'm saying though, like the only way,
and he's a very good player, by the way. I don't want to.
I got a team to tell y'all on it. I got a team to tell y'all on it.
Go ahead.
I'm listening.
Now, this is if they strike out on the top. I think Giannis, I think KD, maybe even Booker are going to be their top targets. If the Houston Rockets strike out on those guys, and they don't have to give up as many of their young players or draft assets, would you be against a Jabari Smith and a 2026 protected pick for Anthony Davis?
That's it.
Ooh.
I'm just trying to be realistic before the Rockets fans. Like, you're trying to give up too much, but
it sounds simple. Knowing who we're dealing with, especially given their track record in the last 12 months, nothing is impossible for Nico Harrison.
This is true.
This is how I look at it. So
I mean, you're right about that.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like you and because of how just insane the Luka trade was, I feel like we as fans just have to take that into account. Where it's like a situation like this, Jabari Smith Jr., very great player, somebody that is in some instances underutilized on that team, that's filled with talent, but is also, in Jabari's case, he's one of, if not a top 3 offensive talent that they have, just pure bucket getting wise. So yeah, it could realistically see something like that happening. And like we've talked about, the Rockets need an offensive guy and a go-to. Anthony Davis would fit the mold as a 2-way front,
and he doesn't drop their defense. Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? Like he fits that. He honestly is a much better fit on the interior than Alperen Şengün is. And even if you're able to keep Alperen Şengün with Anthony Davis, you're able to utilize him and unlock him in a lot of ways too. So I see the vision, Hayes. The question is it that simple? And if it's that simple, do they just bite the bullet on it? My thing is, I think that no one on this team is untouchable. As a matter of fact, given the fact that Kyrie Irving got hurt, they'll probably still be a bunch of sons of bitches and still end up finding a way to trade him in 2 years' time too. But I'm trying not to keep that out there in the universe. But it's not out of the realm of possibility. That's all I'm saying.
I feel like for Houston, like I feel like they might have even soured on the KD stuff a little bit. I think for them, they're realizing that like with the 2 seed, we won all these games. We won 7 games with the Warriors, which based on how these teams look, i.e. OKC, Denver, Minnesota, like I'm not gonna lie to you, Houston's defense was like probably still a top 2 defense in the entire playoffs. And honestly, they would have had a good chance if they played the Wolves this same way they're playing right now. That's a very competitive series right now.
Yeah.
So for them, I think in their head, they're willing to give it more time. Also, I think timeline matters so much, right? 2026 is when all the guys you want are there. Committing it to AD now would rob you of the flexibility to go do that in a year. So I think that's why they probably wouldn't go for it. There is another team, though, Hayes, that I think is an interesting Anthony Davis shout. Now, I think it's a little unrealistic. I do want to overall premise that because they might not do this, but a Nico Harrison move to me is trading Anthony Davis for Jaylen Brown. From the sense of we want defense. We want a guy that's going to actually play. Boston is not going to have Tatum for the entire calendar year next year anyway. And the ideal ceiling of having Jason Tatum plus Anthony Davis probably has more value to you. And more importantly, Boston is trying to get off of having two supermax guys. Anthony Davis is not a supermax guy, right? So it'll be less strain on their books. Now, I find it unrealistic just because not having Tatum for a full season, making the Jaylen Brown trade for AD, who also gets hurt, probably isn't ideal for them, but it could make sense. Just something I'm kind of thinking about a little bit.
Okay.
Because I don't think, like, I generally think
I could definitely see the vision.
I think the contract is hurting Boston so badly because they have two supermax players. I think they have to explore trading Jaylen Brown at this point, especially when they know Tatum is not going to be there for a whole calendar year. You know, so like I wouldn't really be surprised by that.
It's kind of crazy how you can go from like deserving a contract of that like magnitude. I wouldn't say that dollar amount per se, but the status that comes with it. And then in a couple of years' time, you could just be looked at as, you know, bad money that could eventually just kind of be looked at as dead money, that wasteful money, however you want to split it. Like, and in Jaylen Brown's case, like Hayes was alluding to at the start of the show, the Celtics are a team that because of the CBA, because of the second tax apron, like they can't keep this cool ass little core that they got, the 3-point shooting bandits out there. They can't keep everybody. And then when you look at the fact that they locked down JB and JT, I get that, but the future is looking kind of bleak. The Eastern Conference is catching up, and the Boston Celtics went from being a team that for years was a perennial top team in the conference, and they still are in some respects, but that title is starting to get challenged by these other teams. Like the Indiana Pacers are a team that could be a 4 seed, 5
They're really
seed,
good
or whatever, but it doesn't matter. We've been raving about their offense all year, Gifted. Just what we know they're capable of. Even in their defense didn't look like it was holding up, but that offense, if they get going, they are a team to be freaking feared. Like, especially when they go on runs, as we saw in Cleveland. But I think that for Boston, they really gonna have to go back to the drawing board this offseason and just look at everything real closely.
They need to figure out if Boston makes no changes to the roster. That means even if they
$500 million,
Al Horford walk, they have a tax bill, just the luxury tax of $238 million.
Damn.
Their money on their books is $277. That's $500 million.
Yep.
Jesus Christ.
Some got to change. I'm just change. And like the only reason why I'm flirting the idea of trading Jaylen Brown for me, Hayes, is because they're already going to try to move off of KP and Holiday. I don't think you're getting the value back for those players. And more importantly, I just think that if you have a chance to get rid of Brown for the highest value would be AD. The reason why that trade would happen is we believe in Cooper Flag, right? We think he is a 4. So we're going to trade our 4 to have Cooper slide in that role. We're going to have Jaylen Brown. We're going to have a Kyrie Irving player. The only thing that makes it hard is Jaylen Brown's contract is so stupidly high. Like, it's just going to be hard for them to make a true decision on that.
$3 million. And keep in mind, because the Boston Celtics are in the second tax apron, they can't receive multiple players back in the trade.
No.
It has to be a 1-for-1 trade.
And now you see my vision, right? The only way you would trade him is in a 1-for-1 with the guy that's at least similar money, at least even if it's only for one season. So, like,
and that's
why I'm,
that's the only reason, bro. And the Kalipe, let's see what JB does with JT hurt. Yeah, we gonna see. But they're not winning the championship. So
I don't think we need to. I don't think we need to see, to be honest. I know that's going to be like a good little. He's going to average 25, 26 per game. Cool, but cool.
Yeah.
Okay.
But I do feel like I've been saying for years, like they were trying to break the two of them up prematurely for years. And even in that moment, I was like, well, when they were getting close to winning, but they didn't win at all. Like I was like, if either of the two of these players end up on their own team as their own 1A, or not 1A, just one option,
Yeah.
both of these guys can thrive depending on the circumstances, depending on the team. But eventually, we're gonna have to hit that crossroads because there was always a feeling, and I don't know if y'all felt the same way, but like there was always a feeling I had with them two holding each other back in some instances, and then over relying on the thought of we were built. This team was built around us in other instances, right? Where their offense can go from looking like beautiful basketball, showcasing 3-point shooting ability and angles and flare screens and all of these things, to isolation basketball, where it's like, oh, look at my 1A, look at my 1B, and what they can do, and look at how Jason. They both shooting this side step three, but Jason shoots it a little bit more with a hitch in it, so it's different. But they like just watch.
Yeah.
It's just boring basketball. Like it's not good basketball. So I would hope. Part of me is kind of hoping that they do get broken up to the point where we can see what they look like, where everything really is on them, and there isn't a situation where we can be like, yeah, he can take some blame, but oh, he can. The other one could take blame too. He didn't do this. Well, like, nah, I want to
Yeah.
see that. I want to see an opportunity to look at it from that standpoint.
I do want to say it is Hayes, and like I want to see if both of you agree with this. I feel like if you're the Sixers, if you're Miami, if you're the Knicks, if you're the Pacers, I think those four teams specifically have to do everything in their power to field the most competitive roster that they can. Because with Boston having a down year and not really being in that run, the East is even more wide open than ever next year.
Yep. Somebody got to take advantage.
Yeah, somebody got to move up. Like it's like we don't know what's going to happen with Milwaukee, which we need to talk about the Giannis shit going on there before we get out of there. Like there's a lot that could be up in the air in the Eastern Conference. The Eastern Conference could really be wide. Hell,
two powerhouse teams are done.
I mean, yeah, that's what I was about to say. Yeah. Even this year, we didn't expect it to be wide open, and the teams out of it. So, like, we'll see what the future holds for that. But that does transition us next. Like, of course, Giannis happened since our last episode in regards to he hasn't necessarily requested a trade yet. It came out from The Athletic today that he hasn't technically requested a trade, but he is exploring all avenues in regards to what the best path is for him forward. I don't think Milwaukee Bucks trade him unless he formally goes and asks him for a trade. But at this point, is there anything that Milwaukee could do that would make Giannis feel like the best case for him is to stay in Milwaukee on the basketball court?
Fuck no. And I say that just based on the standpoint of Giannis has nothing left to accomplish. There's literally nothing, absolutely zero he has left to accomplish in Milwaukee. Same thing that the same situation they found themselves in 50 years ago with Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and Oscar Robertson after they had won one. It was like, okay, we're in an era that is terrible, but you were still able to get a championship off, right? We're in an era in a league back then that was dominated by less than 10 teams. And every year it was pretty much the same finals matchup or the same outcome. And so back then, the thought of being able to get one was enough to say, okay, I fulfill what I need to fulfill on top of a couple of MVPs and scoring titles that Kareem won back then. In Giannis's case, you already have two MVPs back to back. You have a Defensive Player of the Year, Finals MVP, I believe, an All-Star Game MVP as well. And not to mention the fact that you have been the only consistent guy that they've had, and the last remaining guy besides, I guess, Brook Lopez and Bobby Portis, but they don't really count, of just core guys. Drew, you, and Chris. You were the last one. You won a championship. Not more importantly, you won a championship in the 1 year in the last 5 where it was like it genuinely did feel very wide open. You had the Atlanta Hawks going on a little run there. There was the Nets that had the injury to Kyrie and then James Harden. And then you had the Lakers getting bounced and the Warriors were dealing with their stuff. Like, it was a great opportunity, and they seized it when they were supposed to. So if you're Giannis Antetokounmpo, you're thinking, and I'm not trying to speak for the man, obviously, but if I'm Giannis, I'm thinking, what else is there? Y'all said to me, I told y'all 2 years ago, the only way I'm leaving is if we're not in the best position to win a championship. What did y'all do? We won a championship, then we move off of Chris. Then we move off of Drew Holiday to get Dame. right? Chris is battling with injuries. So I've seen that the writing's on the wall with that. Dame is older now, but even me and Gifted have talked about it. They didn't want to run the hypothetical offense that everybody thought they were going to run. And sometimes they didn't look as coherent together as they could have been, even in the year. Like, would y'all say, I would say this. Did Dame and Giannis live up to the expectations as a duo? Not talking about talent, just talking about as a duo of Chris Middleton and Giannis did, as they did. Did they live up to that?
No.
And it's not, and I agree, but it's not from a standpoint of like, oh, Chris Middleton's better than Damian Lillard. It's not from that. It's from their talents offsetting each other when they needed to. In moments where Giannis, and they had plenty of games where Giannis went off in the first 3 quarters or first 3.5 quarters of a game, and Chris Middleton closed the rest. They had plenty of moments where late in the ball game, Giannis has the ball in his hands. He's looking to get the ball to Chris to knock down the game-winning free throw and or mid-range. There's moments where Chris Middleton and him are talking on defense and making switches and figuring out what adjustments they need to make, like all these things. He didn't have a lot of that with Dame, and you could say that he didn't have enough time, which is cool, but you don't have how much more time will you have with Dame's ACL injury? You're not gonna you're cooked. You're genuinely cooked. He's 34. So if I'm Giannis, I'm looking at not only what have I seen since we won the championship, what did I see in the 8 years prior to that? What have I seen in the 12 years of me being here? What have I seen in the last 12 months? All I've seen is nothing but the writing on the wall, which is A, we're not a championship team anymore. B, if we are a championship team, we're hanging on by a fucking thread. And that thread at this point is Damian Lillard's cartilage in his knee and everything else that we have to hang on to to deal with the financial part, the depth part, and the fact that they're still relying on a 37-year-old Brook Lopez to produce some sort of productivity. And Bobby Portis.
So like, I'm sorry, but if y'all saw the playoffs, bro,
yeah,
he is done, bro. I'm sorry, man. He too slow.
It's done.
It's bad, bro. He couldn't move, bro. The amount of wide open threes the Pacers got, like, chat. The Pacers do not fear them at all in any way, bro. It was bad, and he's getting older. Like, this Al Horford shit's been great, right? This Brook Lopez shit been great. It's not gonna last forever, man. It's just not. I'm sorry. It's just not, bro.
You got to know when to move on. That's one of the biggest signs of a front office that can stay afloat is you got to know when to move off of players. You got to know when to move on and change direction. If you can stay ahead of the curve there, that's where you can keep your roster and your organization afloat. And we'll see, man. But we know I know Cleveland and Pacers already started. Y'all got anything left before we get up out of here?
No, I don't. Good hoops. I changed my pick to Pacers in 6 right before game 1. As soon as I heard Garland wasn't playing game 1, I felt like they could have stole game 1, and they won both of those games. So honestly, I think a Pacers Knicks conference finals would be some really good basketball. I think both of these teams have been playing really good styles. Also, I know Brunson is the best clutch player in these playoffs. Halliburton's been really good in the clutch too.
Very underrated.
I can't wait to see that, honestly, bro.
I don't give a damn if Halliburton got 13 points or 8. Don't let that nigga get a shot at the end of the game. Don't let him get a runoff at the end of the game. I will say an Indiana and Knicks conference finals would be great. WWE teased that months ago for all my wrestling heads out there.
Crazy.
They did. Crazy. They really
got
did.
The script.
They really did, though. Yeah.
They got the script before we did. So yeah, I'm all for that. I'm all for that. And then potentially an SGA conference finals as well. So we'll see how that goes. But you
know what I need? Listen, just because of the unexpected nature of it, I want a Wolves Pacers finals. We're probably not gonna get it, but I would love a Wolves Pacers finals, man.
Hayes, I'm gonna tell you right now, the league knows that they own borrowed time. If there is a scripted league, they know they own borrowed time when it comes to the New York Knicks having an opportunity to win an NBA championship. We've already seen how the Knicks respond when they win a game 3 of any playoff series and they go up in the series. The city almost burns to ashes. I can only imagine if the New York Knicks win the NBA championship. All I'm gonna say is,
New York's gonna be a crater.
Stay the fuck in the house. Don't go outside. Don't even go outside to smell the fucking roses. Stay inside. It is hell out there. Don't go out there.
That's going to be different. Well, we want to thank you guys for tuning in, man, and checking us out. We'll be back on next Tuesday as well as we are every Tuesday from 6 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. Eastern time on Tuesdays, man. We love you guys. We'll see y'all again next week. Peace.
Peace, y'all.
Peace out, people. Have a good one.